And as it fills your being, as that breath is carried into every cell of your being, touching and awakening and illuminating all of the cells. Feel it flow through you. If the mind wanders, just gently and lovingly bring it back to the breath. Back to that flow of sacred prana. That which is flowing off the tops of the Himalayas. Flowing from across the tops of the waters of Mother Ganga and into you. Can you actually make the awareness so subtle that you feel that prana coming into every cell of your being? Ever so gently, bring the palms of your hands together, chest level in Namaste. And rub the palms of your hands gently against each other. Press those palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. Welcome to Satsang. So we usually start with a question that's come in advance from our online audience, but today I know Sajjan has a question that he's very eager to ask, and it's his last evening here. So we're actually going to start with Sajjan's question, and then we will open it up to any questions that anyone else here has. Come, sweetie.
So,
you have to introduce yourself again. It's a new group tonight.
Hello, I'm Sajjan from the UK. This might be my last question for a little while. So my question is, what's the best way to boost self-esteem and confidence?
What's the best way to boost self-esteem? What was the last part?
And confidence.
And confidence. Great. What is the best way to boost your self-esteem and your confidence? By remembering that you are not your body, right? We talk all the time that we are soul, we are spirit, we are essence, we are divinity. We're not the body. Because here's the problem with only boosting confidence in the body. When it's good, you're confident. Oh, I look great today. But then on the days that you don't look so great, the confidence is in the toilet. you get pimples, get older, you get wrinkles. If your whole confidence is based on the body, then it goes down. But not just what the body looks like, because the body is also what it does. So in the same way, if my confidence is based on, oh, I'm such a great dancer or basketball player or math problem solver, then, well, what happens if I hurt myself, I get injured, or I just get older? And suddenly I'm not such a great dancer, I'm not such a great basketball player anymore. What if as I go through menopause and it seems like my brains are dripping out my ears and I can no longer do math problems on the board, then suddenly my self-confidence is down in the toilet, right? So you want your self-confidence to be based on something that isn't the body, that's based on actually your true self. So the more you get to know your true self, the more self-confidence you will have. Because if you are all just about the body, and somebody meets you and they look at you and they go, and suddenly you're going to be like, oh my God, why did that person look at me so weirdly? Must be something wrong with me. But if you know you're not the body, and you are anchored and you are grounded, I am soul, I am divinity. I'm just using this body, but I'm the one who was never born, who will never die, right? Like Krishna teaches us. Well then, however anybody looks at you, it doesn't matter. Because then you know they're seeing the body. You know, it's like sometimes, have you ever known anybody who's really attached to their car? Okay? You know anybody like that? Like really stuck with their car. So, if their car gets a little nick or a scratch or somebody gets a nicer car, then what happens to their mood? You gotta talk louder in the mic, can't you? I think your mic is off. Oh, there you go, okay. So what happens to their mood then?
So it goes down and like they get sadder?
Yeah, exactly, they get sadder because if I'm totally attached to my car, and now my car has a scratch or a nick, or now this guy's got a nicer car, then I don't feel so confident anymore. Would you say it's a very wise decision or not such a wise decision to be that attached to your car?
Not such a wise.
Good choice. I would agree with you. And not because cars aren't great, but because a car is just a thing and you don't know. Somebody bumps into it while you sleep and, right, it's over. It's going to get dirty, it's going to get scratched, it's going to get old. People will have nicer ones than you. But the same is true about your body. The car is the vehicle that our body uses to get from one place to another place. The body is the vehicle that our soul is using in this birth. So just like it's not so smart to be so attached just to the car, in the same way you don't want to be so attached just to the body. So let your confidence be in created by God, a perfect God. So whatever my body is, God has given it to me as a perfect. If there is anything less than perfect about it, God has made a mistake. And we don't believe that God makes mistakes like that. But we also remember, I'm not the body. It's just like God was handing out cars. Like we've all got to get from point A to point B. Okay, you get a Volvo, and you get a Toyota, and you get a Honda, and you get a Mercedes. Okay. Just different cars. But you remember, I'm not the car. I'm the driver of the car. Right? That's where the confidence comes. Okay? Come, Mike, tell them, Kirby. There you go.
Sorry, just a follow-up question.
Yes.
So, you're saying like if someone, gets something nicer than you or something like that, how do you stop internalizing others' opinions as well?
He is, by the way, 11. Just in case anybody thought he was just challenged in the height department here. He's actually just 11. Okay, how do we stop internalizing other people's opinions of ourselves? It's very hard. It's very hard. We all do it. It's humans. If you go back through human evolution, right? We know how evolution works, we've talked about it. Being someone who the community liked was actually very evolutionarily advantageous. It means if you're hungry and you weren't able to kill a deer today or collect any berries today, but your village likes you, they're going to share their food with you. If you want to pass on your DNA, which is the whole point of physical evolution, well, you've got to meet with somebody. You got to find a girl who's ready to meet with you, otherwise you can't pass on your DNA. But if nobody likes you, then you're not going to have a very easy time finding a girl, finding a mate, having your children to carry on your genes. So physical evolution, human evolution, not spiritual evolution, but the physical species evolution actually depends on us caring a lot about what people think about us so that we can slightly keep adjusting ourselves so people will like us. If there's a war and people are in the street killing people and nobody in my community likes me, they're not going to let me in their house. If my house is far and I got to get in somebody's house to be safe, or there's an earthquake, or there's a flood, or there's some kind of natural disaster, I need people to be ready to help me. But to help me, they have to like me. And so it's actually, we have all been biologically, neurologically programmed to care what people think and to want people to like us. So don't worry about that. It just means, oh yeah, I'm human. Oh yeah, I've evolved from other humans who depended on people liking them to survive. So don't feel badly about that. But what you know today is the judgments that people are making about me are not true. And the judgments are being made based on their own vision. Sometimes because of their own personal insecurities. You are very smart. You are much smarter than most people your age, not just academically, but in a lot of ways. There are a lot of blessings that you've been given. Your family, your opportunities. A part of human nature is people feel jealous. And when people feel jealous, but they're not able to really access that and deal with that and admit it, they become very negative. First they become competitive. I'll show him. But then when they're not able to do that, when you keep being number one, and they're not able to compete successfully, then their minds become negative and they say, oh, he's just like that. But you don't let that bother you. You understand that that's just because of somebody else's vision. That doesn't make it true. Some people are colorblind. They can't see all the full colors of the spectrum. Doesn't mean the colors aren't there, it just means they can't see them. There's even colors of the spectrum that human eyes can't see. Look at flowers from the eyes of a bee. The bees can even see colors we can't. Colors are there, but we can't see them. In the same way, when people's vision is clouded by jealousy, by their own insecurity, by their own negativity, they can't see you clearly. And so they're going to speak what they can see, which in many cases, in most cases, just isn't true. So imagine that you were in line in the cafeteria and somebody spilled their lunch tray on you and it got all over your clothes. What would you do?
Go to the bathroom and wash it off.
Right. Very first thing you'd do, you'd go to the bathroom, you'd wash your clothes because I don't want them to get stained. Would you go sit in a corner and cry in your dirty clothes?
No.
Because you understand, I gotta clean my clothes. Like the guy just dumped his lunch tray on me. Whether it was purposely or not purposely. Most important thing is fix my clothes. Mm-hmm. We'll deal with the guy later on. Your heart is the same way. If somebody says something that isn't nice, the very first thing you have to do is clean your heart. Because you don't want it to stain. You don't want there to be any kind of lasting mark on your heart. And if you wash your clothes really quickly, even if somebody spills like coffee or chocolate or grape juice, if you wash it out quickly enough, no stain. Same thing with the heart. The faster you wash it off, the less of a stain there is. The minute something happens, you do your breathing techniques, you chant your mantra, you find compassion and love in your heart. Chant a mantra, sing a song. Do whatever you need to do to re-anchor yourself in the beauty and the wonderfulness of who you are. Paint a beautiful picture. Do something wonderful that will remind you of who you are, that cleans your heart. Okay? And feel sorry for people. By the way, feel compassion for them. Because people only give what they have inside. Right? I always say an air conditioner can only give you cold air. Right? Even if it's January and it's freezing, the air conditioner can only give you cold air. It doesn't mean to give you pneumonia. But hey, it's an air conditioner, that's all it's got. A heater can only give you hot air. Similarly, people who are suffering inside only give suffering. People who are in pain, they give pain. People in misery, they give misery. Because that's all they've got. So if somebody is giving misery to you, find compassion in your heart for them, because it means that's what's inside them. Okay? Good. Yes. Other questions? Yes, come. Come, please. But just 1 second. You can come closer, our beautiful children from Fiji. Come, you can sit up in the front up here with Sajjan. Come, Mummy Papa ko bhi leke aayega na unka. Dhanyavad. Come. Special front row seating. There you go. There you go. Kids in front. Okay. Yes.
Hi, my name is Angelica. I'm from California. My question is, what does your daily sadhana look like? And what do you recommend for those of us trying to find the best daily sadhana that works for us?
Great question. Daily sadhana. So my personal daily sadhana is spread out through much of the day. I have a morning practice, I have an evening practice, Then I have a through-the-day practice. I'll walk you through kind of what mine looks like, but then we'll look at what yours could look like. So for me, in my early morning hours, that's what I consider my sitting alone in a dark room, like this type of sadhana. And it includes pranayam, and it includes japa, the chanting of my mantra with using a mala, and it includes meditation. That's my morning seated sadhana practice. In the evening, I also do japa, and I also do meditation. Shorter in the evening than the morning. I'm much more awake in the morning than I am in the evening, but to keep a discipline and to change the frequency of the mind before sleep, make sure that I have a evening practice as well. But then during the day, I have what I think of as the standing up, moving in the world, all four limbs involved, sadhana. And that's what we call seva. And it's service. And it takes a whole variety of different forms, a whole variety of different ways. But the bottom line is really whatever is needed in the moment. The question that seva asks is, what does this moment require of me? How can I be of the most service in this moment? We have, of course, our beautiful Ganga Arti that is another opportunity for divine connection, prayer, sadhana, bhakti. And that's what my personal, I also have a yoga asana practice. In the height of summertime, I tend to do that in the early morning hours as well, but I find that I actually prefer doing it more midday. Before lunch, after lunch, in the afternoon, or before, in that time of day. Once my body has already actually started having the blood flow a little bit more, I find that it's easier to do an asana practice at that time. It's also nice to have kind of a break in the day and do something physical. But for people whose days don't offer quite that level of flexibility, you've got to look at how much time can you have in the evening? The pieces that I've given you, though, are actually all critical pieces. But you don't have to do them for as long as I do them for. I would say if you could put together a 30 minutes in the morning in such a way that you do maybe even 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes of pranayam, maybe 10 minutes of japa, maybe 15 minutes of meditation. Because I know people who have to get up early, commute, work long days, it's hard to keep getting up earlier and earlier unless you can go to sleep earlier in the night. So I'd say if you can just have half an hour so that you can have those 3 aspects, it's wonderful. And then in the evening, if you can do another half an hour, great. If not, you can make it a little shorter. 10 minutes of japa, maybe 10 minutes of meditation. But try not to go less than like 15, 20 minutes, because it does take, I have found, especially after a busy day, it does take at least that much time just to kind of bring the awareness back. And then see how much awareness you can bring to your daily life. Because that's also sadhana. Just being in the present moment, being aware of your breath, chanting your mantra. There's no rule saying you have to have your eyes closed. Do it while you're driving to work. Do it while you're walking. Do it while you're doing dishes. And ask yourself from a seva perspective, like, how can I respond to every moment? Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's the janitor in my building. Maybe it's my barista. Maybe it's the, guy at the parking garage. But how can I be aware as I move through my life of where I might be able to be of service? And it can really be anything. Are there plants that need watering? We have a beautiful woman who does seva here from Italy, and she had come in the springtime, hot season, and noticed, we've got lots of potted plants throughout the ashram, and noticed that a lot of them were, as she said, sick. And so she picked them all up and she put them outside her room, and she ended up with like a big old plant hospital going on outside of her room, taking care of plants. We have a beautiful sevak who feeds the dogs on the street. These are not things that I have said, or Pujya Swamiji has said, or someone has said, this is your seva. It's just about kind of moving through the world with eyes open, hearts open. So ask yourself as you move through your world, keep your eyes open. Don't stare at your phone too much. Like, who might need what? Is it just a hand across the street? Is somebody rifling through their purse looking for enough money to pay for the muffin and the coffee? Could you help them out? And then make sure that you've got something in there. This isn't officially sadhana, but on a spiritual practice, I think it is an absolute prerequisite. Make sure that you dedicate some time to being in nature. It's not that you can't sustain a deep spiritual practice locked only into buildings, but I think it is very difficult. Very difficult. And I say this after 28 years of intense spiritual experience. Put me in New York City, and all I want to do is be in Central Park. And I mean after like a day and a half. I'm not talking a year and a half. It's very difficult. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a tree, a park, some grass you can go barefoot on, some dirt you can get your hands in, a tree you can get your arms around. Or maybe it's just in the night, going outside and looking at the stars, getting up early enough to see the sunrise. But just make sure that you are getting, if not on a daily basis, at least a few times a week, an infusion of nature in your life. Yes. Wonderful question.
Thank you.
Good. Yes. Yes.
My name is Gopala from Spain, Shivananda Yoga Center. Yesterday you talked about that this place is very sacred, and that Ganga came here for that purpose, or for that reason.
Yes.
Now I come from a country in Europe, and what I see two different things in Europe. There's many wars going around, all around the world. There is at the same time, there is a lack of confidence in public institutions.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of wars, and there's a lot of?
A lack of confidence in public institutions because they are not doing something.
Confidence in public?
Institutions,
okay.
like states, for example.
States,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So people is suffering a lot,
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
So the question is, which do you consider that is the best tool to protect that lack of confidence and the suffering of people in words all around the world.
Beautiful. How do we protect that love that we have for our countries, for our states, for our institutions, while simultaneously protecting the people of the world? Because in so many ways, these same countries, states, institutions are contributing to violence and suffering.
Yeah.
Well, we have to realize in many cases, not all, but in many cases, we are the ones who make up our countries, our states, our public institutions. There are still dictatorships, of course, but most of us live in countries, in places where we have a say. In some places we have more of a say than others, but where we have a say. Whether it's through voting, whether it's through how we spend our money, whether it's through what we will or won't align ourselves with. And I think it's critical that this is where spirituality is so important, because see, without spirituality, the thing that guides people's choices, whether they are heads of countries, heads of institutions, or individual people, the thing that guides most people's choices is selfishness. What's best for me? The way most people vote. We may kid ourselves that we think it's what's best for the world, but when you actually get people out of the public view and really why are they making choices, far too many people, not all of them, but far too many people are making choices based on who's going to keep the most tax money in my pocket rather than in the government's pocket, who's going to pass policies that are in alignment with what I want to do, who's going to be the most amenable to the lifestyle I want to lead, what's going to be the best for me. And so we end up continuing to support leaders and institutions who are bringing about enormous suffering in the world, because the selfishness within us has caused us to align with someone who is not making right decisions. Or the fear in us, or the anger in us. A lot of times, leaders and heads, they prey on people's fear, they prey on people's anger. All of these problems are solved when we become deeply spiritual. Because when we become deeply spiritual, we know there is nothing to fear that this person is going to be able to save me from.
Yes.
The thing I fear is the thing that they're trying to convince me to fear. It's people of other colors or races or religions or from other countries, those, them across the border. Or it's people of other ways of life or other orientations, whatever it may be. The anger I feel is anger that has been bred into me to feel. Oh, you don't have enough money? It's because those people, those people are the ones who have taken all the money. They're taking the jobs. They're taking the money. They're taking your kids' place in universities, in jobs. And so first they make us afraid and angry. And then they prey on our fear and anger. And this is why really the only solution is a spiritual practice. And it doesn't matter what religion you come into it from. But what matters is that you develop an ability to have faith in the divine, to have faith in the Creator, to have faith in humanity, to have faith in the sacred heart of humanity, the sacred humanity of humanity. That you are able to let go of your anger, let go of your greed, let go of othering and polarization and discrimination, what we call in Hindi bhed bhav, that sense of us versus them. Because if we can't, then we're going to keep giving power to those who, due to their own fear and greed, pathology in many cases, are just wreaking havoc on our sisters and brothers across the world, wreaking havoc on Mother Earth, wreaking havoc on our indigenous sisters and brothers, wreaking havoc on the future of the planet. And so I really think the only thing is deep spiritual practice, and then combined with social networking, coming together to raise voices, to bring about change, to fight for change. But if you look at effective fighting for change that we've seen in history, people like Mahatma Gandhi, people like Martin Luther King, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, what is similar about all these leaders? They were incredibly religious people. Yep. Incredibly, deeply, spiritually grounded and anchored people. They were powerful, they were loud, they were forceful, they were not tolerant of people acting out of greed and illusion. But every one of them had a personal spiritual practice that was so deep that it guided them toward the right choices and made them a leader who was able to unite people, not just in knowing what to say no to, but in knowing what to say yes to. Because real leadership and real change is brought about not just through our no, but also through our yes. And that's why that spiritual component is so important. Because otherwise we end up with just different varieties of angry, shouting people. And it's people on different sides of lines. They are the problem. They are the problem. And we're just doing this. And it's all about gathering enough people into each camp, making people on each side suspicious and hating each other. And we don't get anywhere. It's just more suffering. So this is where our meditation, our prayer, our introspection, our spiritual practice is so important, so that each of us can actually be courageous and connected agents of change. And if even it's only in how you vote or how you shop, that's a huge difference. And then, if you can do more, come together. We need to. But we need people who otherwise, as Pujya Swamiji says, every movement becomes just about egos and logos. If we're not spiritually grounded, it's just yet another movement. But if we're grounded, then it doesn't matter whose ego, it doesn't matter whose logo, we are working together, really for change. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful day to our family joining us from all over the world online. I look so forward to being together tomorrow, and please do be sure, as always, to take advantage of all of the beautiful yoga, meditation, spiritual offerings that we have all day here at the ashram. There's schedules up in this reception office nearby here, the Pujya Swamiji's reception. We've got all the schedules up. Everything's open to everyone. There's no charge for anything. So let yourself really dive deep into as much as you can. We've always got something really beautiful and enriching going on. And I look so forward to seeing you all again here tomorrow.